So Marvin Harrison Jr. is officially an Arizona Cardinal. I say officially, but he's already been an Arizona Cardinal for a couple of months now. Marvin Harrison Jr. was absolutely the correct decision for the Arizona Cardinals in this last draft. I argued at times, could you just get the best offensive lineman and have the two best book edge offensive lineman duo in the NFL? I could talk myself into that. And then you see the defensive line that's going to be horrendous this year. This team desperately needs some real help on the defensive line. But things are just picked wrong in the NFL draft. You're just doing the NFL draft wrong, and you're not doing it justice at times when you don't just select the best player available. And Marvin Harrison Jr., to many people, was the best player in the draft. Not just the best player as a wide receiver, the best player in the draft. And so Marvin Harrison Jr. was clearly the correct pick for the Arizona Cardinals. And even though it wasn't the premium selection you wanted, last night just goes to show you just how clear and how awesome it was to have Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Arizona Cardinals. The New York Giants are doing Hard Knocks right now, and it's the off-season Hard Knocks, but somehow Marvin Harrison Jr. stole the show. He's getting asked by Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, the GM, the head coach of the New York Giants, basically asking him, hey, this pass that Kyle McCord threw to you, you've played with C.J. Stroud, you've played with some elite quarterbacks. He throws you this terrible pass, and you're in the end zone, and it basically costs you a touchdown. What do you say? And it's interesting what Marvin Harrison Jr. says. And it's interesting the way a lot of people are comparing Marvin Harrison Jr. to a certain wide receiver on the Arizona Cardinals that used to be on the Arizona Cardinals. But I kind of have a little bit of a different perspective. Marvin Harrison Jr., his response to this quarterback throwing a terrible pass, which is clearly Kyle McCord's fault, basically says, I got to be better. I got to make that catch. I'm not saying anything to the quarterback. Are you insane? That's the leader of the offense. I'm one guy. I don't talk to the quarterbacks like that. I got to focus on myself. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but this is essentially what Marvin Harrison Jr. said. And a lot of people are relating it to Larry Fitzgerald, the host of the show that I'm on, Jody Ayler on The Drive, basically said, wow, he's just like Larry Fitzgerald. I have a completely different approach. Yes, are his mannerisms like Larry Fitzgerald, or the way he conducts himself like Larry Fitzgerald? Is he mature for his age? Absolutely. But to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a chip off the old block. He is exactly like his father. His father was quiet, reserved, was not a diva wide receiver, all certain characteristics that Larry Fitzgerald was as well. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is just like his father, Marvin Harrison Sr. He's quiet, he's reserved, he is a playmaker, and it has only helped him that he grew up with the father that gave him these characteristics, that later on when he gets drafted, Marvin Harrison, his dad, can say, no, this is the correct way you do things. This is how you go about meetings. This is how you're the sharpest knife in the drawer. That are all things that are going to benefit the Arizona Cardinals. So yes, as much as I want to make the analogy to Larry Fitzgerald and his mannerisms being like Larry Fitzgerald, to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just like his father, Marvin Harrison. Reserved, kind of a quiet guy in terms of other diva wide receivers in the era of Terrell Owens or Chad Ochocinco or XYZ name, Steve Smith, an XYZ name, you put it in there, wide receiver, diva, in an era now that you can be a diva wide receiver, get your bag, and it's no big deal because you're a wide receiver and everyone expects it of you. Marvin Harrison Jr. being mentored by his father, Marvin Harrison, is such an added extra bump to this Cardinals team. A guy that's mature, a guy that gets it, and a guy that has been given the God-given talents to be the best wide receiver in the NFL. It just gives me more belief. And I was pro Marv the entire time, although I entertained the thoughts of, could you have an elite offensive lineman? Could you have an elite pass rusher? At the end of the day, I was also pro Marv this entire way. But it is just an added bonus to know that not only do you have the best player in the draft, possibly, but also quite possibly the most mature player in the draft in a position that is so immature in the NFL. And then you add that to the substance of Kyler Murray needs that kind of wide receiver. You know, we talked about it today earlier on the show, on the drive, the show I'm on at Fox Sports 910 here in Phoenix. And it's exactly what I thought of. This exactly popped in my brain when I heard Marvin Harrison Jr. gave that very mature answer last night. Do you remember when Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins were going at each other on the sidelines? DeAndre Hopkins was upset because he wasn't getting the ball. Kyler Murray was upset with him because he was upset at him. And it was just a whole cluster bleep of just nonsense on the sidelines. Kyler Murray needs a wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., who is calm, cool, collected, mature, a level-headed guy that isn't going to freak out when the play doesn't develop exactly for him and exactly the way they scripted it out before. It is a great pairing of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. Not only does the talent both replicate itself and each other, but Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. are a perfect match in terms of a quarterback-wide receiver relationship in maturity-wise. Kyler Murray needs a guy that can allow him to make a couple of mistakes, and not be down his back about it. I absolutely love this pairing, even more of Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to work. How well it's going to work, I don't know. I don't think it's fair to put Larry Fitzgerald expectations on him. If you ask me, Larry Fitzgerald's the greatest receiver of all time. But if he can be Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, of that skill level type of wide receiver, he's fulfilling everything and more, and not adding to the head case of being a diva wide receiver. I absolutely love everything Marvin Harrison Jr. is doing, and it's exactly the right fit for the Arizona Cardinals, and it should make you even more excited and more relaxed that not only is he going to work out, but he's going to be awesome, both on the field and in the locker room and off the field. Because that's where maturity gets you, and that's where the athleticism and God-given talents of Marvin Harrison Jr. give you.